Good afternoon and Happy New Year. So realistically, I don't think I've actually said hello to anyone yet this new year. So, like I said, Happy New Year. I did go ahead and release a video just the other day, but that had been recorded a little bit ago. So yeah, let's kind of really get into it this year. First things first, let me tell you what we're going to be doing. So I've got in front of me, I just have my sketchbook, right? It's been a minute also since we've done any live draft sessions, so that's what I'm going to be hitting up today. I have just got my little sketchbook here. This is a multimedia sketchbook, nice thick pages on it, and I have drawn just the top half of a grid here. Now, I am actually going to be practicing for putting this on mugs that I've got. I actually purchased just a set of 4 gray mugs, these nice ones here. I'm not going to do anything to prep them other than give them a real good wash. These I haven't done anything with. These are just straight from the store, but I'm going to give them a good wash with some soap and water. And then I'll probably take some isopropyl alcohol, something like that, rubbing alcohol, and just go over the side that I'm going to be painting and over the handle here. Now, because these are gray, I did want to stick with something kind of that same sort of color. Down. There we go. Okay, so I did want to stick with kind of the gray tones. So what I've thought about, I've got dark graphite, slate gray, and then I've got a lighter gray sky. Okay, so got these 3. Then I did want to add a little bit of color, but again, I don't want to go way over the top with color. So I did do a dark blue. Now, it doesn't look like it's going to be, really recognized here because it's going to fade over. But the Prussian blue against this actually stands out a little bit more than when I hold it up to the other gray color. So I am hopeful that it's going to stand out just enough. I'll test it on one of the cups prior to actually putting this down, just in case I do want to lighten it a smidge, because unfortunately I don't have any paper that is that same dark gray color. So I'm going to have to mess around with some things before I finalize it. But at least today I am going to go ahead and get out my design. I do have somewhat of a pattern in mind. Not a whole lot, but I've got something going on at least. Okay, so give me a quick second here. I am going to go ahead and get some of the paint in my palette. Again, Prussian blue. Get this shook up a bit. There we go. Okay, it's graphite. Slate gray, the gray sky. Whew, I'm kind of getting low on this gray. Don't have a ton in there. Time to go shopping. I better not say that too loud because you know what happens when we go shopping, right? I will find 12 million other colors and have no place to put them and start 12 other projects that I don't have time for. All right, so I've got my swoosh tool. Basically, this is just the 0.5 nail art stylus. This is my go-to, always has been for my swooshes. And then I've got my set of Happy Dotting Company tools hanging out over here. I'm actually going to start with a 10 today. So I do want my center to be relatively large. But again, I kind of had to try to imagine a scale on here. I had done a set of gray ones before with a very large center. I had actually filled this whole section here, which I did kind of like, but at the same time, I went a little smaller this time. Okay, because I do want more center dots. I do want to expand out the center more. So we're going to do that. So we're going to start with a 10. Let's go ahead and start. Yeah, I think we're going to do it dark to light. So let's get the 10. Now with this, okay, so I'm putting it at the bottom of the dot right along the base here instead of centering it. All right, let me get that wiped off. Now, if you haven't yet seen my new video, I highly recommend it, okay? One of the reasons for that is because going forward, I'm probably going to refer a lot to the rules of, you know, making the centers and the types that I'm going to be making. So that might be really, really helpful. Now for the 1/8 rule, I'm using a 10, so I'm going to start out with a 1.5. And like I said, this is just going to be my draft, okay? If you've never attended a drafting session, if you've never actually watched it, or if you're just kind of popping in right now, my drafting sessions are essentially what I do prior to making a project, right? This is my playtime. Okay, nothing that I'm going to put on here is necessarily permanent or perfect. Okay, I'm going to play around with things. I do have my pencil here. I've got a couple of ideas drafted for the sizes of the first couple rows. Like I said, I have kind of a design in mind, but as I go, I'm just going to use my pencil to jot down, you know, a kind of a rough guide of what I'm doing. And then I'll probably scribble some notes and things before I move forward. Okay, so we're going to stick with the dark. Let's go with graphite. And again, we're at a 1.5. Now I am going to start in the middle. Normally I might not do that, but again, we're going to go flying off the edges here. So I just find it much easier to start in the middle, and that way if I don't get a full round, then it can just hang off the bottom. It's not going to look weird. Scoot that up a little. So now that I've got that done, so that's a 1.5, I'm going to go up with the bloom method, and we're going to go into a 2.5 for the next one. And let me think here. Yeah, let's go ahead and just go to the next one. I was thinking about sticking with that dark graphite, but now let's go ahead into this one. All right, so let's just nestle the dots in here. Then I'm just going to flip the tool over and we're going to go to a 3. I think I'm going to reserve the light gray for further out in the pattern, so I'm going to go back to the dark Prussian blue. Okay, so there's that. That takes me to this line here. Okay, that's not bad actually, because I do want to bring a pattern, kind of a drop of the pattern here perhaps. Okay, so let's do, thinking about an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not going to give me a ton of room. What I'm going to do, let's see, how do I want to do this? Yeah, let's go ahead. So what I'm doing, the pattern that I want to make is essentially sort of a cup shape, right? I'm going to have a center dot and then some swishes around it that kind of frame it, right? So I want one of those elements, let's call it that, to fill up one of these spaces. Now, if I take my 8, because that's the size that I want my center to be, and I'm putting it here in between these rows, I'm looking and I don't have much room on either side. So I'm going to go out another row, but that's going to give me these 2 in between. So I'm going to have to decide if I want to go up one more row as far as the dots here, or if I want to put something else in between. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and go forward and play with this first. I'm going to stick with the graphite. I don't know if I'll, or the Prussian blue. I don't know if I'll like that or not, but okay. So let's see. Let's get this right in the middle. There. I love this dark blue, but just like black and some of these other colors, it just gets everywhere. Even if I double up my towel, which is what I'm doing right now, when I clean my tool off, I just end up with this stuff everywhere. Okay, so you just gotta be a little more careful because it's gonna end up everywhere. Okay, so let's go and switch things up just a little bit, and let's go into the lighter color. Let's see. Let's do a 2. Get a top on this here. So what I'll do, let me reach in. Let's try that first. Okay, so this one is my, well, 3 with the stylus. I'm gonna stick with that same light gray, I think. Might be a little big. Okay, so then we went with an 8, a 2, and a 3 stylus. But this, oops, smaller. Okay, so now I'm going to take the 3, I think. Do I want that in a straight line? You know what? Yeah, let's try that. Let's try that. Okay. Yep. Definitely. I want a smaller first row there. So instead of that 3, consider something else. Maybe even like a 1.5. So again, I'm not trying to make this perfect. This is paper, right? I'm trying to swoosh on paper. And if you've ever done that, sometimes it's just awful, right? Because the paper, even if this is multi-surface sketchbook, the paint still does soak a bit into it. And so sometimes you end up really dragging the paint more than just getting that pretty glide. So. But this is my little playground. This is my sandbox, so. Oops. Yeah, so we'll bring that down. And once I do this on the actual cup itself, all of these lines are just gonna glide. So, not too worried. Okay, let's quickly sketch this. Good so far. Probably gonna stick with the 3 again. Let's see. Actually, let's go up to like a 3.5. I do want a little bit of an increase. Okay, do we want this on top again? I don't think I do. So let's go here. So it's just slightly off. Whoops, I dunked that in blue. Let's not do that. Let's go back to the graphite here. I was kind of looking at that and debating on if I wanted to keep just that sort of half there. You know, only bring one side down. Whoops. That certainly would go farther. Let me try one or two of those. See if I like that. Haven't done that a lot recently. Let's see, let me fill this one in. Okay, which do I like better? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. I think I actually like it full. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, right? Because at this point, it's kind of equal. It's kind of equal. Let's go ahead and fill them in. And then I got to make some notes here real quick. Okay, so we did a 3, and then a 3, and a 3.5. I think a 3.5 is still gonna work, so let's go back to, let's Well, we need some dark blue, so let's get that in there and then we'll go backwards. Let's go right under that line. Yep, that's perfect. So those will touch right there, and then I'll have a nice spot for, I don't know, whatever I want to put there. Maybe let's think. Crown is the go-to. I could do something like a diamond. That might be a little different. Okay, so what do we want to do there? I also have this space and this space. Now, what I think I was planning to do on the bottom is kind of just bring it down. Bring something down to fill this space, but something, I don't know. Let's try some fun things. Let's do something. So if this is an 8, if I use the 8th rule, that's going to mean I'm going to need a 1. So let's try this. Let's go into the light. Do a 2.5. Not sure why I decided to do this upside down. And then a 2. like that. Okay. Now, is a 3 going to fit in here? It does, but you know what? Let's see about a 3.5. I have to be a little more mindful when I do that because the spacing got off here because the way that the dots were pulled down. Okay, you know, just have to keep an eye on that with the original, with the real thing. All right, so what I want to do, 3.5. Let's go to a 3. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. No, I don't think I like that. Now, I'm okay with this first line, but I think what I would probably rather do, let me think here a sec. So if I have, let's see. So if I have an 8 there, something like that. And so we're imagining here's that line. So what might be better, let's see, let's think here for a moment. It's more of a curved line, but you know, what if we do, where's my 3? Doesn't matter what color I actually use here. think this would have to be smaller. But I think you get the idea. I think you see where I'm going here. Something like this instead. And then I might just have to make a little bit of wiggle room. Because keep in mind it's slightly arched. I don't want to get my hand in it. Something more like this. Let's do maybe one more, because it would have to be sort of here-ish, right, as the curve draws in. And as long as I keep with the same kind of size, something-ish, I don't know, something kind of like that. I think that's better than this stuff, whatever that is. Sometimes you try something new and it turns out really cool, and sometimes it's disgusting, so, you know, whatever. So, let me see. That's probably going to be, what about a 4? Can I fit a 4 across? Yeah, I can. Okay, so let's do the light. Whoa. Okay, 3.5. It's gonna have to be, because I can't quite get a 4 in all of these. Okay. And then what do we want to do here? Anything? Maybe we just stick to simple. Yeah, okay. All right, so let me make some notes here. All right, so we want to do the smaller 3, 3.5, 3.5. And then, was this a 3.5? See, this is why I usually make notes. Nope, that was a 4, it looks like. Keep closing my pencil. All right, 4. Okay. And then 3.5 crown. And that is 1. Okay, now these notes might not make sense to anybody else, but they make sense to me. So again, sort of what we're looking at here. So for me, the center is a 10. Then the next row is a 1.5. The next row is a 2.5. The next row is a 3, okay? Then I use another column, right? Because this is gonna be the center of an 8. Okay, then the 2 is my dot, and I can put that there. 2 dot. It's my little spacer. This is the 3, and I put the little S behind it here because of stylus, right? Because this 3 is not the same as this 3, okay? And I don't like that. So I'm talking about this line right here. I don't like that one, so I want that one smaller. Okay, but then this one is going to continue to be a 3, a 3.5, a 3.5, and then up to a 4. Okay, and then the next row is going to be my 3.5 crown, because we decided this is a 4 and the 4 is a little crowded. So 3.5 crown, and then use above, not this. Okay, so this section right here I don't like, so we're going to do this. So I'm going to fit this design pattern right here. So between this row and this one essentially here. So in this space, I'm gonna have this design and not these 3 wackadoodle things. Okay, so that is basically a 1 walk, right? So I did a 1 with just 2 dots. You can barely tell it's a walk. And the rest of these are 3s, except for the smallest one was, I believe I did a 2.5, but I can figure that out because I don't know. That was a 2.5. That's, I think, a 2.5 as well. Okay, so it's a very small design. It's not a huge pattern. Okay, it's just this little arch, and it's messy. It's my draft. That's what drafting sessions are, but this is going to go on here. Okay, so now this, I will decide initially to fit everything. The pattern, this dot would actually be here, right? So directly across from the handle, I would start it here. Normally, I think we're used to just putting it right here, right? So when we're drinking, it's just going to be this flat. But if you can see the design here, if I kind of try to fold it over, right? I don't know if you can see that on camera or not, but basically if I were to do this, I would have almost this whole element here on the handle. right? And I do want the full element. So what I think I'll do is just take and dot across, make this my center, and then have it splashed over the edge. Okay. Last thing I'm going to do while I've got everything in front of me is I'm going to push this. Oops, not my whole thing here. Okay, let me push that up a little bit. Let me see what this blue is going to look like. Let me just grab something here. Okay. Let's wipe that off. Testing the color palette. The blue actually stands out, like I said, a lot more than it does on paper. This is just almost white. Okay, I think I like that. I think I'm still happy with that. Okay, and then I also have some metallics up here. Ooh, I guess I haven't used that one for a minute. It's not completely dry, but it's kind of dry. Let me see. And that one, that really blends in. That one is almost the same color as the cup itself. Otherwise, I can't think of another color that I have that would be good for some highlights. This is the metallic white. White pearl. White pearl almost doesn't have a shine, but then again, the only other one that I got, and I'm just going to wipe all this off of there, don't worry. The other one that I've got is this Craft Smart one. Ooh, can you tell I actually had to add a ball bearing to that one because it's much thicker. It's a little bit more silver, which I think I would like better. I don't know how much actually is going to appear on camera, but I do think I like that one a lot better. So this one is the Craft Smart bright silver, and then this one is the white pearl. Not a whole lot of difference, but like I said, this blue, it does show up a lot better. Okay, so all right, that's it for that. I'm going to take my cloth. Okay, and we're just going to wipe that off. Now see how easily that wipes off. When I actually do these mugs, once I get everything on them, I will be, not only will I be oven curing them, which I definitely want to do. The other thing that I'm going to be doing is using some glass medium on these. So that's not going to happen, right? Because hopefully these are going to be usable coffee cups, something that somebody really holds in their hand every day with some hot coffee in it, right? So I don't want them to, I don't want somebody to feel like they can't actually use this as an everyday item, because that's my goal. So I kind of double down and use the medium, and then I also oven cure them so that they can be washed and used. So, okay, but that is it for now. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. And hey, as always, I'm going to say, if you guys have made it this far, make sure that you're subscribed. Okay, give a thumbs up, and I will catch you guys in the next one. All right, happy dotting, everyone. Thank you so much, and enjoy your weekend. Bye.